And now we are, as always, delighted to introduce our wonderful, optimistic Mayor Ed Lee with us this morning to guide us through his vision for San Francisco and some of his priorities and to outline some of the challenges as he sees them. He's been very proud of the job growth and the many cranes in the air and the innovation hub that San Francisco is. And of course, he's concerned about housing, affordability, and availability. And so let's see his thoughts and views and plans for what we can do to generate enough housing and the right kind of housing to keep our economy vibrant. And Mayor Lee, thank you again for joining us. Please welcome San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you, Mary and Joan and Structures for putting on such a great event and an opportunity for me to address you this morning. Let me begin appropriately, and I always like to look at the room, and the first people I see are the men and women that served us this morning. Let's give it up, a little hand for all the great working folks in this hotel. Mary, tension? What tension? The only tension I know of is between the Dodgers and the Giants. That's the tension I want to deal with. I'm excited to be here this morning. I'm excited to be in the room that, as I briefly look around, there are great developers who are working in this city, designing wonderful green office buildings, residential buildings, art buildings, people, construction companies who I know by name, given my years, not only at DPW and city administration, but also more and more. You're not contractors and developers, you're becoming partners with the city as we open up great institutions like the one we just did at our Veterans War Memorial the other day, and beautiful places where the history of the city and the future of the city is right at what we do with our challenges. I look across the crowd and I see fantastic nonprofits both in San Francisco and in the East Bay coming together here this morning because everyone I believe knows that what we have done here in the city, creating collaborations, making sure that what people say and what people write about, as I look over to the publisher's table, can always sometimes be stories about tension and about this group versus that group. But as the mayor of this wonderful city, as someone who has spent a lifetime struggling with some of the very tensions that we talk about, I am, in my life, the most excited during this time for the city of San Francisco, for its past, its present, and its future. And I know that more and more what we're finding is less about a boom. I know there'll be writers that talk about economic booms, which means at some point in time, the boom deflates or something happens. More and more, I don't think we're in the middle of a boom. I think we're just at the beginning of some very creative things that this world has yet to see and that San Francisco wants to be in charge of and in the forefront of. I look at some world-class designs that are allowing us to talk about climate change with the designs that we have that contribute to transportation, to community building, and more developers, when I say partnerships, they are finding the links between an office development and our need for a wonderful, beautiful flower mart that we want to have for more decades in the future. I see more and more links between downtown development and affordable housing. I see more and more direct links between a market rate developer and their support for the preservation of affordable housing that already exists right in our neighborhoods. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exciting time for San Francisco because we can show that when we say that we want our prosperity to be shared by more people, we will find those links to share that prosperity. That's why I'm excited about this city. Thanks for having me again this year. As you all know, it's a good time for San Francisco. People are working. Unemployment is dropped to an unbelievable 3.6%. Thank you, everyone in this room, for contributing to that. Cranes are up. I see them. I feel them. They're there. Whenever there are strong winds, I'm worried about those cranes and I want to make sure. Hundreds of thousands of square feet of new development housing are certainly underway, and because of our good economy, we're making record investments in everything from education to transportation to public safety and to our historically strong social safety net. Well, it's hard to believe that just a few years ago, city government was more than $300 million in the red. We had a rapidly escalating pension and healthcare costs, a job-punishing payroll tax system, and a mid-market where every third storefront was empty, and a citywide anemic housing production pace. But, more alarmingly, our residents were staring at nearly double-digit unemployment. Well, all of us, and certainly we in government, we all rolled up our sleeves with our partners, our nonprofits, our city government agencies, our private partners, such as you in the room. And many of you know that we rolled up and we tackled these challenges. And together, we got the house in order. Our city is now doing 2-year budgets. We go along with 5-year financial planning. We do 10-year capital planning, which I was proud to work on deliberately. And we have delivered a budget that has made our city safe and solvent and successful. We've reformed our pension system, and we reined in the healthcare costs, working with labor, and we were one of the first cities in the entire nation to do so without the acrimony that has divided so many other cities. We reformed our payroll tax, and when I continue to look at the things that we have done, I will mark this as pretty historic, because we literally changed our entire tax system to accommodate job creation, and we carved out during that process even more support for our local small businesses. We brought to this city a housing trust fund to voters to keep affordable housing production going. We spearheaded the central market payroll tax exclusion, which since 2011 has created that very transformation that we all know and feel and see along the Central Market Street. We now have scores of new businesses, storefront businesses, arts organizations, and we even have companies that have located to Central Market and told me and my staff, I don't need nor do I want your payroll tax. I'm going there because Market Street is the exciting avenue for everything to come in the future. Our economy has rebounded and dramatically, and because of our focus on economic development and attention to job creation, I'm very proud of that. And now, we, as the city of San Francisco, are at the center of the fastest rebounding economy in the country, and every sector of the economy is expanding. Jobs in construction, in healthcare, hospitality and tourism, manufacturing, and others. We set out to restore investor confidence in the city, and that investor confidence is strong, and we have the highest credit ratings perhaps in the history of our city. Well, perhaps I am most proud of in my first term is overseeing an economic expansion that saw unemployment drop from 10% to 3.6%. That means over 107,000 new jobs were created in San Francisco. Those are real jobs for real people. And I know people want to focus on tech, but there are jobs in healthcare, there are jobs in our hospitality, there are jobs in tourism. All of those are on fire. So we're not, and this is for the economists in the room, we're never going to depend upon any one sector. We're going to always make sure that we have a diverse economy. That's the smartness of learning from many lessons of past economic booms and busts. We've done this because of the resiliency of our residents and our business community. And now we have a unique position to ensure that every resident can share in the prosperity of our city. And I know there's talk about our city changing. Some people perhaps are fearful of that change being too fast for them. Well, I believe in change, and I'm supportive of it. It's exciting to see so much going on, and so much of it is positive. More businesses thriving, both big and small, in the neighborhood corridors. More children playing in our parks than ever before, and you know what parks are very crowded during the weekends. More residents able to share in that very prosperity. Well, with change and prosperity, we also have challenges. Far too many people are living on our streets. There are too many evictions that result from speculation. Our city has become very expensive. And some of our beloved neighborhoods are also in need of some stabilization. So our challenge now is to make sure our residents are part of that growth and part of that change in a positive way. And that the changes they see in San Francisco will not leave them behind, nor give them the feeling they're being forced out. That is what we need to do and do together. Part of the answer is that we build balanced, equitable communities, ones that welcome newcomers, even as we protect those that have lived in those neighborhoods for a long time. I say that because I need all of your help. I know people in this room are some of the most creative people that we have in the entire region. I know that because I've had a chance to work with all of you. And that spirit of innovation is what is going to make the difference between something that is occurring today that is strong but can deflate versus something that keeps going because it just grows with more people being involved in the shared prosperity. Well, before we get to what you can do, let's talk about what the city is doing already. We're on track to produce in the 100% affordable housing range over 10,000 new units of housing. In fact, 10,780 by our specific staff calculation in new and rehabilitated housing by 2020, all 100% affordable to low income and more to middle income on top of that. We have already produced 1,441 affordable units since 2015 with great projects like 1180 4th Street or the Vera Hale Senior Center in the Tenderloin or the 1100 Ocean Avenue project in Excelsior or Edward II in the Marina, the Broadway Sansom project in North Beach, all serving 100% low-income seniors, families, youth in transition, and formerly homeless. And our funded roadmap will get us new affordable units in almost every neighborhood in the city, from Chinatown to the Mission to South of Market, Soma, and to the Trans Bay community. We have many more coming by the end of the year with the Carroll Senior Housing in the Bayview, Booker T. Washington, which we just turned the spade on in Western Addition, and 1500 Page Street in Hayes Valley, just to name a few of over a dozen projects that are already underway. And we're not just building our way to affordable housing, we're also preserving them. We're rehabilitating over 1,400 public housing units through our Renter Assistance Demonstration Program. And those are the newest in my effort, and I know hopefully yours, that we will never see isolated poverty housing again in this city. All of these projects, home by home, will help us reach our goals. But I want to give credit where credit is due. All of you, the private sector, the nonprofit sector, are helping us meet these aggressive housing goals. Well over 300 of those affordable units were produced through our inclusionary program, and almost 700 below market rate units that were under construction were done through the private partnerships. We are on track for housing production, and that's just part of the answer. We're advancing several pieces of key legislation to build more affordable housing faster, preserve affordable homes that we have already, and strengthen neighborhoods and protect our longtime tenants. We're changing our inclusionary housing program to make it easier and more attractive to produce affordable housing through market rate development. We know you are all better and faster at delivering units. So we're hoping that you'll partner with all of our nonprofits and with the city and get those affordable housing units quicker. In addition, our neighborhood preference and displaced tenant legislation will give existing residents or those who might be victims of Ellis Act evictions a priority for affordable homes in their own communities. Our housing preservation ordinance, which is part of key new legislation, will strengthen the city's ability to preserve housing, affordable housing, that is losing their rent restrictions, and I'm committed to combining that with funding to ensure the residents aren't displaced. I know we've already read about some of the sites where over 25 years ago, the former redevelopment agency had made good deals to keep affordability in those units. Surprisingly, those 25 years are up, and they're just taking place. And I want to make sure those residents know we're going to be there for them, that they don't have to suffer some incredible, huge gap and shock that would cause them to be displaced. And we have, as part of the legislation, an affordable housing bonus program. Many of you in this room, and thank you, Oz and Spur and all the others, kept in negotiations with us to make sure that we were doing it smart, doing it with true incentives for developers and builders in this city. And we are coming up with even more incentives for developers to build more affordable housing faster and to keep the economics of their developments strong as well. Well, to create truly balanced neighborhoods where everyone benefits regardless of income, I know our residents need more than just housing. And that's why we're improving transit with historic investments in Muni and our entire transportation infrastructure, in part because the voters last year voted in a $500 million general obligation transportation bond, and that we are making sure that the Vision Zero projects of that bond are immediately implemented, with over 28 projects all over the city. We've purchased, through Muni, new fleets of new generation Muni light rails, and many of them are under production. They'll be showing up very soon. And we have new buses that have already shown up. And we have an additional 10% service increase. I didn't say rate increase, service increase underway already. More to come. We are building our public infrastructure so that it's safer, stronger, and better. We have hundreds of public works projects underway, major ones like rebuilding our hospitals. 5. Can you imagine a city that's at the same time, that's why a little bit of congestion is out there, 5 major hospitals together with many of you in the room. And we have small projects that, as I said earlier, are Vision Zero projects that are making the streets safer at the same time. Well, these are not just celebrations of development projects. This is the future of San Francisco going on right now. That's why I say we're looking forward, because all of this infrastructure, all of the building are going to contribute to a more modern delivery of good services, but it also an embracement of the people that want to be here, that are already here, and they have strong infrastructure to meet that challenge. Well, check out, for example, the transformation that has happened on Castro Street. I would like you to walk that area as much as you can, because you'll see widened streets. You see enthusiastic small business community that is thriving. You don't have to get naked to be excited in the Castro. Check out the work that we're doing on Taravel Street. These are great improvements that we're doing, and we're keeping an eye on all of that. We are also expanding our park system. Park Alliance, you're in the room too. I see you and I hear you. We're improving 15 neighborhood playgrounds currently, funded from the 2012 bond, and we have more to come. 3 new waterfront parks are in progress. A new public plaza at Pier 43, another new park at the Northeast Wharf Plaza, and Crane Cove Park at Pier 70. We are also making record investments in our public schools and asking the private sector to join in that movement. Again, I can't thank more the leadership that Mark Benioff and Salesforce Foundation and Len Benioff have led, because they have also are going to be great tenants in the buildings that you're designing, but they also lead with their heart and with their philanthropic dollars as corporate citizens to make sure that the youth that we have in our city are going to be their present and future talent for all the companies in San Francisco. That's why I'm excited about this city, because we're doing it in ways in which we're connecting up directly with the people here and their futures. That's why everybody should build in this movement. That's why I resist about a bubble of things that we can control, and the things we can influence are the very people who are here, and getting them excited and linked directly to the economic strength of the city. We are investing in social services, and I know there are far too many people that are suffering from homelessness in our city. Well, that's why I launched the Navigation Center. It's a new model, and we're seeing very success in that model. And I've asked, we met with the Hotel Council, the Hospital Council, and our SF Travel and business leaders from the Chamber just a day ago at the Navigation Center. And they know also that we need to scale up that model if we're going to exhibit the deep compassion that we have for our people that are living on the streets, in order to get them off the streets in the right way. But I share with you, and I will continue saying it, it is dangerous for people to live on our streets, dangerous for health reasons and for public safety reasons, and we need to help them get off the streets in the right way. We will do so together, and we will make this strong commitment with models like the Navigation Center. That's why we're also creating, by the end of this year, 500 additional units to be freed up and focused on for supportive housing for homeless individuals. And it's why I've created a navigation partnership fund to entice and to receive private and philanthropic dollars and donations. And it's kind of like the mayor's fund for homelessness, but we can only spend it once that we have matched dollars from the city. And that means that when we are asking the private sector to join us, I am making sure we build in accountability for those private dollars as well. And this has been the success of 10-year capital plans. This has been the success of our general obligation bonds, is we have put in an accountability discipline such that private investments in the work that we do on behalf of the public are also held accountable to the highest standards. Well, I hope you've also heard that I'm working on an investment fund. Let's call it the Accelerator Fund for Housing, that attracts private and philanthropic dollars for affordable and middle-class housing, housing for teachers, hospital workers, firefighters, and police officers. And with your financial support, we'll be able to launch that this coming spring. And we are creating working solutions to poverty, like raising the minimum wage, training our local youth, our low-income workforce for better jobs through our incredibly successful Youth Jobs Plus initiative that we just celebrated again for a multiple-year accumulation. Did you know that every year we've been averaging over 7,000 paying intern jobs for all of our youth? That is incredible with your support. I am proud of what we're doing. It's a long list of things that we're doing, but I felt it's important before I ask you to join us, that you know what we're doing already. And we are doing this in a direction to make our city more inclusive. Well, you know as well as I do that government cannot solve our housing crisis alone. But with the collaboration of our private, our nonprofit, and our philanthropic sectors, we can certainly make that even more successful. All of you are helping by delivering more affordability in your projects, with more on-site and off-site affordable units being built. For example, 4 cities committed to 30% affordability in their Pier 70 project, 33% at the 5M project. The Giants, 40% on their project. That includes low income and middle income. More and more, the conversations are about how those developments can work with the city to incentivize those high numbers. But those are great examples for all of us to share. We need you, all of you, to help us continue the rich San Francisco tradition of diverse, inclusive neighborhoods. So I have 5 asks today, if I may. Support Proposition A. The $310 million general obligation bond that does not raise property taxes. And please also support Proposition B and D to support our families and help build more housing. Number 2 ask, help me fight speculation. You know, the attributes of growing too fast is you invite some people that kind of take advantage of it and don't care about inclusion or about stability or about neighborhoods, traditions of San Francisco. Help me fight that. Help us open up thousands of units that are currently being kept off the market. Help me find the incentives to bring those units back so that we can increase capacity. Number 3, help us find sites for affordable housing and middle-income housing. Help us acquire them or long-term lease them. Help us build on them. Number 4, and I think this is a natural for all of you in the room, continue pushing us and each other to innovate. Let's get out of the traditional things. You know why the dialogue with the media sometimes is bust and build, tension-filled, but we've got to have more innovation in the city that is the capital of innovation. I want innovation that will help me accelerate the housing. I want homes to house our workforce, and I want it now. Why can't we be talking about a hyperloop for housing? Yes, if we can talk about it in the transportation terms, I can certainly talk to you about hyperlooping more units in the city. Where modular units, perhaps, can be made easier for all of us to go from factory to family in record time. And fifth, do something more for yourself. Every development project has an opportunity to increase its partnership, not only with the city, but with the incredible inventions of our nonprofits who are also doing as much as they can. And in every project, we can work creatively with us to try something new to create affordable housing faster and better and more permanently. Well, these are just a few ways in which we can all work together to support an incredible city that has both a history of what it was for me when I was invited to come here and be part of its diverse neighborhoods, and I love it here and I will continue loving it here. But I also want to make sure that we join in its commitment to be the most inclusive city this planet can ever experience. As we build, as we find success, I've always asked every youth who we helped get a job, every person that went through the job training, I don't ask for contribution, I ask for one thing: that you keep the door of opportunity that was open for you open for somebody else. Well, I know that is in the heart of good modern development and design, is that you have opened up your developments to be that much more inclusive, to help me build a new flower mart, to help me cause new neighborhoods, to help me have more affordable housing. All of that is an incredible invitation to do more and be part of the DNA that we love to call San Francisco. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.